Hi everyone, my name's Darryl Panes, CEO at As Good as Gold Australia. And this morning, once again, I'm joined by my brother Brian,
Thank you,
partner As Good
Darryl.
as Gold. And today we welcome back a very special returning guest. This gentleman has been referred to as the Robin Hood of Wall Street. He is an active and full-time trader of the capital markets with a worldwide following. He is the author of the book A Not So Random Walk on Wall Street. He also hosts a very popular YouTube channel, Hidden in Plain Sight. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Is there anything this man has not done? Welcome back, the one and only Gregory Mannarino.
Hi, Greg.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's been a very exciting last 3 months. In Australia, Greg, there's been an enormous level of interest in precious metals, and everyone's been talking silver, silver, silver. And in that last 3 month period, we've seen some amazing things happen. The tide has turned, I believe it. And I'd like to ask you my first question. I'd like to ask you about silver. And so let's have a look at the last 3 months. Silver has exploded and has seemingly broken the shackles and has surged in price from $50 Aussie to $58 Aussie. Just sitting on $58 as we speak, but did hit another all-time high at $59, just over $59. So Michael Oliver from MSA Research just recently predicted that silver could reach $70 to $80 US by the end of this year. Do you believe that silver has just finally broken the shackles? And what are your expectations for silver from here?
We could spend the whole time talking about this. All right, look, man. Silver's the place to be. It's my favorite asset of all time. There's no doubt about it. Everyone knows it. I've been talking about it for over 10 years. We haven't seen anything with regard to the price action of silver based in any currency right now, as far as I'm concerned. Again, look, how I imagine this here is, okay, we understand what's happening all over the world. We have central banks have gone wild. They're not going to stop, especially here in the United States. We've never seen anything like this in the history of this nation. We're going to see currency debasement, devaluation on an epic scale, more so than we can imagine here moving forward here. The United States is it's done. And that's a real reason, or one of the real reasons why we're seeing the price action of precious metals rise along with Bitcoin cryptos as well. The world is realizing that the United States is in a lot of trouble. And we're starting to see metals wake up. But the deal is, it's the Crimex. I call it the Crimex. The Colmex here. They don't trade in real assets. Obviously, this is it's a paper derivatives market, leveraged to the beyond your eyeballs. They don't trade in real assets. Most people have no idea. But that's really what's going on. Until that rigging stops, unfortunately, we're going to see the price of gold and silver remains somewhat shackled. What's going to bring this whole thing down apart at the COMEX or the CRIMEX, however you want to look at it here, is just when one, let's say, large contract is settled in the hard asset as opposed to whatever currency it is, or the dollar, most likely this what they're going to settle in here. Once just one does that, the whole thing will unravel. It's a crime. The NYMEX, the COMEX, these are crime syndicates of the highest order. It really is a crime in progress every day. You've got regulators turning the blind eye to all this, and until that stops, again, the only way, look, it's the regulators aren't going to be the ones that put this to a stop. It's going to really have to be a moment where there is a demand for the physical asset. It's only a matter of time, in my view. And then we're going to see these institutions, the CRIMEX and the NYMEX, collapse. And I mean, this is all going to play together. How it's too easy for what I do. My job is very easy. I just look at the most likely places, cash, how it's going to move through the market. It's really not a hard thing to predict. We have decades and decades and decades of data to look at. So if we realize that cash moves through the markets and the economies of the world at a predictable pace for the most part, and in a way, If we realize these things, it's too simple to understand where this eventually will go. These are real things. They are hard assets. The world doesn't want this paper illusion anymore. It's frankly sick of it. And people are waking up to what's happening here at the Crimex and the NYMEX and all this other stuff again. So look, with regard to the price action of these things, this is how it's going to play out. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever. With regard to the gold Dow ratio, we're going to hit a 1-to-1. We have to determine where the bottom of the Dow is. I think it's going to bottom out somewhere around 8,000. The world stock markets are beyond la land. We have this mechanism here right now with this big, fat, ugly, beautiful, disgusting abomination of a bill. What's it going to do? Vast debt expansion, the same thing happening around the world. What's that going to do to the world markets? The stock markets of the world are going to now trade on a higher multiples expansion cycle. I've been telling people this for 1,000 years. Cash moves out of places where it should be going into and into places it has no business going. So what this mechanism does is just create epic distortions across the spectrum of asset classes. And unfortunately, you see not only the price suppression here of gold and silver continue to play out despite hitting record highs. And this is nothing. This isn't even the opening salvos as to where we're eventually going. But I believe we're going to see a Dow gold ratio of 1-to-1, meaning $8,000 gold at a minimum. It could be more than that, and an 8,000 Dow. And then we could potentially get a 10-to-1 gold silver ratio. So we're talking about $800. So if we get about 80, I mean, we could all, I think this is, it's, that's going to happen. There's no doubt about it. Then 140, then 260, then, there's no doubt. The system is unraveling. People think there is some kind of stability. I don't care where you live in the world, okay? I can tell people here, being that I am a resident slave of the United States, this is coming down. It's unraveling very, very rapidly. People need to be holding. I'm preaching to the choir, to both of you guys and everyone else who follows your work. They know this is where they need to be. I don't personally even think about the short action price movement of gold or silver at all, or even commodities overall, because we're going to see a surge in the price of commodities pretty much across the board. I happen to believe that gold and especially silver are massively undervalued based on ballooning global debt and everything else that's going on. And again, the Crimex and the NYMEX and everything else that's going on with commodities across the board. So yeah, sure, $80 sounds reasonable to me. But the bigger picture is, I'm a macro guy. That's really what I look at. And the macro picture tells me, though we haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah, we know we go back to 71 through to 80, and we saw what happened then. And gold, of course, went up about 2,400% over a 9-year period. Silver, 3,600% outperformed gold, closed into a ratio 15-1. So would your expectations in this bull run be similar to what we experienced then?
And I don't think we're going to be, in the bigger picture here, being a macro analyst guy, I don't think we're going to see something we've never seen before.
Right.
I really believe this. Although we have seen, it's pretty rare, a Dow par gold, 15-1, gold ratio. Absolutely. I believe will happen. And I think in an extreme situation, it could go to 10-1. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that silver is going to outperform on the grandest of scales. Yeah. You also have to understand that people who are used to it is the silver is volatile. It's much more, gold very stable. Silver trading price action is it's volatile. So that scares people a lot of times. You see some pretty profound, when you got the Crimex here dumping paper contracts onto the market, you can see some pretty substantial drops in both gold and silver. But silver is always the one that I think rattles people. But in my perspective, and from everything I look at for as far back as you want to go, I've never ever once swayed from saying that I believe that silver is the most undervalued asset, and I think people should load up on it. Load. At least these are escape hatches from the financial Armageddon that we're in. People ask, where is it? It's everywhere. People can't survive. Middle class wipe out small business here in the United States can't survive. You got President Trump here. Doesn't know which way he's going one day or the other. Again with this whole taco trade thing, something I said wouldn't happen. It actually did again. I can't believe it today with China, with the whole chip sector now getting goosed. You can't make this stuff up, but this is what's happening here in I don't know what it's like about you guys, but I can tell you here, it's like nothing we've ever seen ever before. And the United States, and this is a big reason why we're seeing the price action we're seeing with the gold and silver. And even I would say as far as commodities overall, what happened to copper recently with Trump's tariffs here in the United States, we're paying 50% tariffs on that. And this is going to, this is massively negative for the economy here. The consumers are already in so much trouble. Our industry is dying. And this is why people are looking to, the dollar is no longer a safe haven anymore. I mean, what happened to U.S. debt? We just lost our AAA rating here. You have our U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent, the peddler of U.S. debt, blowing it off. But this is a big deal. And the bond market is reflecting that. The dollar, the Dixie, has been below 100 now for quite a while. All currencies are collectively falling. So, you weigh one against the other, well, they're all falling. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a deception on an epic scale here. But then again, what does it bring us all back to? It brings us back to the core, to what real money is. And then that's why I say thank God for shows like yours.
Yeah. Some very difficult times ahead for those who are not in precious metals. And unfortunately, that's a big chunk of the population.
Yeah.
But very exciting times ahead for those who are.
You know what the problem is with people? They don't even know. People don't realize that they can buy this stuff. I have people tell me till this day, Greg, do you mean I can actually go out and buy a piece of silver or gold, not as jewelry? Yes, you can. People don't know. This is what I don't know what it's like by you, but this is the American public has been so dumbed down. They can't even walk nor chew gum at the same time. I'm not lying to you guys. I don't know if you've been here before. If you guys were to walk around and try to talk to some people, you'd be aghast at what they think, believe, the delusion that they've been placed in here. It's not, and none of this is, of course, by accident. This is all on purpose.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, mate, we've said this many times before, but I mean, with what silver and gold have done over the past 3 months, the last couple of years, I mean, gold has broken all-time highs 15, 16 times in Aussie dollars, and yet you never get a mention of it on mainstream media. No one understands gold. No one, I agree with you, no one knows where to buy it. It's a very select few. It's been a very, very powerful message that mainstream media has put forward, and it's left gold right out of the equation.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, Greg. I mean, Darryl and I both we both deal with people that come into our office and they're there to buy $2,000 worth of silver and gold. But we also deal with people that have got $1 million in their bank, and they just want to get it out of the bank, and they don't know much about gold and silver, but they have heard, they've heard the price of gold rising. So Darryl and I are talking gold, silver on a daily basis, and obviously we have to know the price on a daily basis, these days it's every 5 minutes you got to know what the price is. I try not to bring in to our clients the political aspect, but I have to say this, that if we had sound money in this country, right, we wouldn't need the government getting involved in all of our activities. If sound money, gold and silver was there, you wouldn't need the type of government, the bigness of government today. So I'm going to give you about 3 questions here, and most of them are political. I haven't done this before because it's really the price of silver, price of gold, where's it going, how's it going, whatever. But these are more political questions, but they're easy questions.
I don't care. Easy, hard, it don't matter. If I don't know what I'm talking about, after all these years of being out here, then maybe I should just retire. So please, just give it to me as hard as you want. I don't care.
Greg, in Australia, our government has referred to our inflation rate at being approximately 2.3%. And they're shaking their arms, they're waving their arms around, 2.3%. I believe this is preposterous. When you consider that that what the government is saying is a $100 food bill 12 months ago is now going to cost $102.30 today. Every client that I talk to says at least it's going to be $130 for the same food. Greg, what's your take on this subject? Are you feeling the same way as I do?
I could explode right now because, this is what the garbage that we're getting here too. It's the same thing, and it's all unexpected. Oh, inflation is creeping up. No one saw that one coming. You got to be. All these numbers are fake. The data is fake. It's 100% propaganda. I don't care where you live in the world. These governments are fist feeding us nonsense. I really don't know how anyone who can hear this cannot see through the garbage. I mean, this is not what's happening here. 15, 20%, that's really where inflation is at. And it's not going to stop. Do we believe, anyone sitting here, us three included, and anyone listening, that wherever you live in the world, your government is just going to all of a sudden return purchasing power to the currency, restore purchasing power to the consumer, or are they going to sit here and dissolve it further? This is how, look, man, this is the first sign of a collapsing global economy. You go back and look at history, goes far back as you want to go. They all do the same thing. They start to vastly inflate, fake the data, and then tell everyone everything is fine, of course, until it isn't, until people finally wake up and then it's too late for everyone. But again, no, I don't think anyone's buying it. Maybe there are some, but even people that I talk to who are completely disconnected and they have no idea, they go, well, these numbers, they're not right. Doesn't make sense to me. Of course it doesn't, because it's all propaganda. And I don't, especially here, we got our inflation numbers just today. No one expected it to tick up, and it's only at 2.7% highest in the last X amount of months, and the people just believe it's going to get better. There's no way. And there's not, what bothers me mostly about this is there's no roadblocks to it. There's especially, well, I don't care where you live. There's no one talking about we need to drastically raise rates to return purchasing power to the currency here. We need to stop spending. We need to do something about debts and deficits. It's not, that's the polar opposite. And people keep being fed the same garbage and recycled nonsense year after year after year. And I guess, I don't know, it's like they get smacked across the face and then they ask for more. I don't get it. When are people going to start to realize and say, I've had enough? You guys are smarter than I am, so you guys let me know.
Yeah, it's a good answer, but yeah, there's no doubt the 2.3% is a fake number, and it's something that people have got to realise that it's a government made up number. It's not truth at all.
Well, Peter Dutton, typical example, leading up to the election just recently, was asked that question: what are you going to offer the Australian public? And mainly, well, what are you going to do for them? And he said, well, we're going to, highest priority, get inflation down. And I thought, get inflation down. Get inflation down from 2.5 or 2.4%. We're now down to 2.1. But you think to yourself, hang on, if it was 2.1, you don't have a problem. But the problem is, he knows that it isn't 2.5 or 2.1, it's 30% or thereabouts. And yet this is where these guys get themselves caught out, because in the end, you're telling that many lies, you just don't know how to cover yourself accurately. And that's where it is at the moment. Lies and deceit, totally.
Yeah. See, what they do here is our so-called, representatives. They realize that they're talking. They believe that they're talking to people that are completely ignorant, and for the most part, they are. Yeah. They have no idea how the financial system works. They're not told about gold, as you were saying, or silver, or anything else. Here, look at here in the United States, it's all about the Dow Jones Industrial Average, or whatever it might be. It's all a deception on an epic scale, and the propaganda is all part of it. Keep the people propaganda. It's bread and circuses. It's ancient Rome all over the world. It's bread and circuses, and even the food is poisoned, just like it was then. The currency is being devalued, the propaganda, the lies, the deceptions. It's all the sign that the global economy is collapsing. We are resetting it all into a completely new system, of course, and people are going to be forced to suffer as they always do, as wealth just is transferred right up to the 1 and 2 percenters. Unless you're one of the 1 and 2 percenters, what we are is we're just collateral on loans that our government borrows into existence here. And we're the ones that people ask, well, why is it always us, the middle class, gets stuck paying the bill? Because we're nothing but collateral. In fact, I'm going to use that title. I'm going to use that. I have a newsletter. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but I love writing. I love writing. So I'm going to write something with that. We're just collateral. That's all we are. And if people once realize that that's all we are to them, a means to an end, or in this case, just collateral on the back of the loans that are never going to be paid back, that all they're going to do is inflate, devalue the currency. And of course, we pay for that by inflation, all the fake numbers. And then they sit there and laugh at us. You see, but not us, not the three of us, and not the people that are listening to the show right now. Yeah. They at least are understanding what's going on.
No, I've never seen it presented that way before, but I absolutely get it.
We better move on, otherwise we'll be missing our questions here, Darryl. Greg, the following, I put down 3 points that I've been listening to and hearing from, all sources of media, which we all know a lot of fake as well, but the 3 points that I'd like you to comment on. The 1 point is central banks are buying more gold. Second point, gold is now the second place reserve asset after the US dollar and has overtaken the euro. And central banks are selling fiat currency and swapping it for gold. Is the world listening to these points, and what's going on? Your thoughts?
It's funny. People have been hearing these for years and they don't take any action. I've been telling people for over 10 years to, of course, as we've heard from other people who also understand, to bet against the debt. Become your own central bank. Do what they do, not what they say. They don't want you, any of us, in an alternative to what they are forcing us to work for. I mean, people don't even understand the basic premise of how the system works. That is, okay, wherever you live in the world, you go out to work every day, and all you do is work for the privilege to borrow that currency into existence. And then you don't even own it. It's owned by the issuing central bank, plus interest they create out of nothing. That's why they don't pay us in gold and or silver, because these would make us sovereign. Say, we can't be sovereign. We must be slaves to the system. That's all they want out of us. Compliant slaves that they can yank the chain wherever they want to. But absolutely, look, the central banks are doing this. The richest people in the world are doing this. All the investment banks, they got the richest clients all set up. Everybody knows where this is going. And thanks to shows like yours, and I would like to say, hopefully, thanks to shows like mine as well, we're getting the word out and people understand that they must act. They can't sit back. Look, this is beautiful. The three of us can sit here and talk and talk and talk, but until these people take action, they've done nothing. In fact, they're stepping backwards. We want them to step forward and realize that they must act, because no government in this world has their best interest in mind. People, it's an interesting concept too, talking about all this stuff here. People, does anyone believe that a central bank has our best interest in mind? Of course they don't here. They have a product to sell, to make us work for. They don't even sell it to us. It's not even ours. These dollars or whatever you might hold in your pocket. Again, they're just IOUs. They're units of debt. They're not units of wealth. They're unbacked liabilities being dispersed by bankrupt governments around the world. I mean, what kind of an asset is that? What kind of a person would want to hold an asset like that, unless, of course, you've been taught that this is the way to go because you live in a nation called dystopia. It just doesn't work. And again, it's just so important to realize that people, look, man, you got to do everything in your power right now to survive what's happening here. Not just, look, man, there are people, if you're 1 and 2 percenters that are thriving in this environment, and that's what it's designed to do. What's happening here? Governments colluding with their respective central banks is just a wealth transfer from one group of people, which is the masses, and in the economies of the world themselves, and just pushing it right up to the 1 and 2%. That's all that's going on. It's called the Cantillon effect. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. This is why we're hearing about currency devaluation, why we're hearing from the president of the United States and his cohort on the side, I call him Damian Thorne, that we need a weaker dollar. The dollar's already lost 94% of its purchasing power. And then the people here, like maybe you guys don't even know, maybe you do. The people here in the United States have been so dumbed down that they believe that they're told by the sitting president that if we kill your dollar more, if we make it harder for you, that all of a sudden the world is going to want our products. Let's say the dollar has 4% of its purchasing power. Let us just take another 2. Then all of a sudden the world is going to want U.S. products. And we're going to become, the economic engine of the world. You can't make it up. Our factories are dying here on the back of currency devaluation. People can't consume. If people can't consume, what's going to happen? Factories don't produce. This is economics 101, people. But again, that's what's happened to the people in the United States. I don't know about what you guys, but maybe it's the same situation. I hope not. I hope that people, at least in one part of the world, maybe where you guys are smarter than they are here. Because here, this is something that's yet to be defined on the level of, on the IQ scale.
Yeah. Well, probably a little bit sad to say that I don't think Australians are much different from the guys that live in the US. We've been obliterated with government rubbish, and you just believe everything the government says. So, but we are, I must admit, Darryl and I have got it's a thriving business because there's more people coming in and ringing us up on a daily basis, say what's happening. And that's what Darryl and I do. We don't just work over the counter. In fact, we never have worked over the counter. What we do is pick up the phone, and we can be on the phone for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, because the person is so keen to listen to what's going on. So that's an advertisement for as good as gold, but that's what happens. We're passionate about what we do and about what we're hearing. Greg, I'm going to move along. And this sort of fits into what you've just said. And this is a very interesting comment and facts and figures. The Reserve Bank of Australia, which is Australia's central bank, has 9 board members. Not all are full-time, paid by the board, but they are all earning over $1 million in annual salary. They are responsible for setting our interest rates, but how can they connect with the Australian citizens whose average full-time salary is between $80,000 and $90,000 a year? These people are on $1 million. How do you associate? I just can't believe how they can associate with the person on the street that's earning $80,000, $90,000 a year. Again, this is all about reserve banks and central banks. What's your thoughts?
It can't be. And they realize that. They understand that, and they don't give a damn. I don't care where you live. It's the same kind of situation wherever you want to go. What do we have here? We have multi-billionaires trying to, first of all, we have a guy here, our president, who couldn't even run a casino. 3 of his casinos failed because he's such a great businessman. He's not a businessman, Donald Trump, okay? He earned his money because he invested in real estate. That's really it, okay? He's not a businessman at all whatsoever. Couldn't run a casino. They should tell people something. But it's the same with world leaders everywhere. They don't care. They suck the system dry. They suck us all dry. They don't relate to us. We're nothing. We are nothing. We are a means to an end, and that's all. The elites here, the people that run the central banks, the people you were just talking about, they realize that the system is dying. They don't want you in gold. They don't want you in silver. They want to keep you in their slave system, period, the freaking end here. That is why they are collectively taking whatever they can get right now out of a system that is being erased right out of the economy, right out of the middle class, wherever you live around the world here. The people on the lower rung, they're done. They've already been sucked dry. We're seeing more people fall to the lower rung, and I said this would happen from over 10 years ago. The prior middle class people who have now done everything in their power. What's happening by you two to maintain the illusion of a middle class existence, which means borrow and borrow and borrow until they can't borrow anymore. Then, of course, they end up on it. It's just, like sitting on the front row of a roller coaster into the pit of despair. That's all it is. And there's no way on this earth or off this earth or anyplace else that these $1 million earners here can connect with the regular guy or the regular girl and realize what they're going through in any way, shape, or form. Nor do they care at all. There is no care. It's they've disconnected themselves from it. There's no empathy. There's no humanity anymore. It's a system run by devils. I call it devilism. Period. The end. And it's only going to get worse. If anyone believes that this is just going to change by some divine decree, ain't doing it. Okay. My mom always told me growing up, God helps those who helps themselves. Well, help yourself and wake up to what's going on. And people's faith is misplaced. You can't serve two masters. I can go on and on about that too. But come on, man. People, wake up. Can't you see? They know it. Look, we're talking to the people, and I'm hoping we're going to get some new people to hear this stuff. But for the most part, it's probably the same with you guys than it is with me. You get a general crowd that listens to you, and they appreciate what you're saying. But what happens is even these people, when they get, let's say, maybe they hear something new they haven't heard before, and maybe they'll talk to one or two more people about it, and then of course what's going to happen is they're going to get the pushback, and then they don't want to hear it. And I don't blame people for it. I used to go out of my way, and I do to a certain degree, but not like I used to try to enlighten people and talk about this. Like if I talk to someone, they say engage in a conversation, and I just kind of feel them out. Maybe I try to talk to them about what's going on, and you can just automatically feel all of a sudden they get this glassy-eyed look. They don't understand it. They don't want to understand it. They just want to go along with the way it is, and that's what world leaders like the ones and the central bankers like you just spoke to about. That's what they're hoping. And unfortunately, that's where we're in the spot we're in. But not people like us, all the people that follow our work.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary for a lot of people. That's the point. They just don't want to go in too deep. But, is that what is it? It's 1% of the population or thereabouts that purchase precious metals? That own an ounce of gold?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they won't take their money out of the bank because they're scared they might get frozen. The bank account will get frozen, all this sort of things, right? And yet I feel I sleep very easily at night because, both Darryl and I own a lot of precious metals. We've been saving in this stuff for 27 years, right? And we don't really need bank accounts for our personal self. We need a bank account for run our business, yes. But I honestly wish that we could hurry up and go back to a gold standard. There are some people out there that say, be careful of what you wish for. True to a point, but under a gold standard, and we didn't have a full gold standard from 1944 to 71, but I remember growing up as a 10-year-old, my mum and dad, she didn't work. My dad had what he did. He had his own small business, but one little small business could afford to pay for 3 children going to school. We never had any problems with clothing, never had any problems with food. Today, you're talking about salaries that are 20, 25, 30 times more, and you got all sorts of people living on the street. It is unbelievable how people don't recognise the fact that gold standards do work, right? They actually do work. They work extremely well.
But the issue is, okay, you guys are absolutely on target. What would happen? We would go from a debt-based system to a wealth-based system. And you see, the wealth-based system would allow the people to prosper, like you just said, but they can't. They were creating a slave planet. Look, man, I want people to just research what I'm about to say. In times, without even having a gold standard, okay? In times of higher rates, we have our president here talking about lower rates. We need lower rates. We need lower rates here. That's not what brings back prosperity. What brings back prosperity is higher rates. And again, in economics and finance, what do we know? We know that to have a strong economy, you need a strong currency. To have a strong currency would be great if we had a gold-backed currency. You're not going to get it because that would, again, return power to the people instead of the bankers. So what they would do, if we raised rates here, purchasing power would increase and people would thrive. But that can't happen. We have to be dissolved. The people must be erased. They must be told a tale by someone they respect, some people love. Like, for example, our current president here, who has no idea, or any world leader. Again, they're all puppets. They all take their orders. It's the puppeteers are the ones telling them what to do, what to say, what script to follow here. But imagine if we had just one real world leader of a developed nation who actually came out and said, listen, man, we got this all backwards, because that's really the truth. It's backwards. We need to fix it. We need to build this from the bottom up. It ain't going to happen. The bottom is being erased, unfortunately. But people have an opportunity here to turn it around and make the system work for them, get out of fiat, keep only what you need in the bank, and that's it, just to transact. And unfortunately, their system, the rest of it, look, man, it's a no-brainer. You know what I'm going to say? And you guys are on top of it more than I am. It's get yourself gold, get yourself silver, and become sovereign. These make you sovereign. How else can I say this to people? I don't know another way. Again, you guys, I'm sure, know it a lot better than me. I'm preaching to the choir. But people that are listening, this is how you do it. Period. Listen to these guys. Don't listen to me. I'm just a guy on YouTube.
Look, my next question, we've really touched on it a couple of times through this interview anyway, but I just want to take it from the start, this question, and take it through to the end so that our viewing audience really gets a handle on it. So just recently, Greg, you warned of another upcoming round of QE. Now, that is scary stuff. It really is. That is cheap money leading to more borrowing, leading to more debt. Could you please explain, and we've done so to some degree tonight, but expand on it a little, just take us through the process. Could you please explain how QE works and why it can only end in absolute disaster for the economy and the population at large?
Well, let's just take it from here. Developed economies of the world, we don't produce anything anymore. Not enough to obviously, here in the United States, we're running massive debts and deficits. It's the same everywhere here. So we can't produce enough to fund our own system. So what do they got to do? They must inflate. If they don't inflate it by any mechanism they can think about here, it just stops. I mean, what the real issue is going to come down to, and I've been warning about this for I don't know how many freaking years, because we started to see it in the 07, 08 meltdown, is a credit event. We're going to end up with a locking up of the system. The system is that this is the paradox here. Okay, we have a system that appears to be debt saturated. Everyone say, well, debts are ballooning, they're ballooning, there's a ballooning, and what are we going to do? The fact of the matter is, there's not enough of it. The debt-based system must be fueled relentlessly with more debt exponentially. It's not even linear. It's got to go up like a hockey stick. And without this mechanism here, again, all developed economies are in the same boat. They must inflate. The central banks must continue to issue debt into the system, pull from the future into the now. How does the central bank keep rates suppressed? How does the central bank keep rates where they are? Are they magical? Do you guys believe that central banks have a magic wand, or Merlin is sitting behind whatever desk is, or whatever central bank? No. The central banks have to get into the market. They have to do it. Like, for example, when you got a President Trump here, or any president anywhere, saying, okay, we're going to lower rates. Do they just do this and the rates get lower? Does the central bank plural, do they just, I don't know, have a seance or something, and by some magical spell it happens? No, they have to get into the market. They got to create the currency out of nothing and then buy the debt. Yields go down. And what does this do? It debases the currency. People, come on, man, this is such basic stuff. But people aren't taught this. No one knows. Yeah. People think that central bankers have a magic wand, but they don't understand. This must happen. It can't stop. You got right now central banks around here, they're buying it all. That's their goal. The goal of every central bank is to become, well, one or two things, okay? To be the lenders and buyers of the last resort, to own it all. That's it. And that's what they're doing here. We're moving towards that very, very rapidly. I don't think any other nation in the world is moving faster towards that than the United States is right now. And we're about to see what's happening here is, look, I even came up with a new word for this recently. I call it planetary debt. In other words, the debt is ballooning on a celestial level here. It has surpassed anything. It has become planetary. And that's where we're going. And the people sit back and they don't do anything about it. In fact, they cheer about it. Well, here in the United States, when the big, beautiful bill passed the Senate, you hear them cheering USA, USA, USA. All it means is we're done. We're more done, and then we're more done than that. And you imbeciles outside here listening have no freaking clue what we're doing to you. And this is a mechanism that's going on around the world. This is not unique here. We're all in the same freaking boat. But that's where this is going to go. It must, because they have no alternative. The alternative is default. So instead of doing that, what are they going to do? They're going to kill the currency. Again, going back to how we started off here. We're in the end phase. We're in the end game. Every empire falls the same way. They debase their currency. People, don't take my word for anything you've heard me say here. Anyone listening to the show, do your own research. I'm not lying to you. Maybe I am. Look it up for yourself. It's a fact. People don't learn. They don't learn from history. And then again, they kept under so much stress. What do? They divide the society. They conquer the society. They have you put people at each other's throats so they can't focus on anything except that. If people were to maybe sit back with their significant other or their family and say, look, this is what's going on. We're following the same pattern of destruction that has wiped out everyone before it. But now this is global. This isn't just, something in the distant past. This is happening right now. So yes, that's where we're going here. I hope I answered your question. But this is unbelievable what we're seeing right now. And there's no way to stop it. It's only going to get worse.
No, Greg's 100% right. I mean, the course of history tells us that this story over and over and over again. It's otherwise the Roman Empire or the Egyptian Empire would still be ruling the world, and they're not. For the same reasons that Greg has spoken, talked about.
It's very interesting. It's usually between every 120 years there's a complete changeover. You go from the Spanish, the Portuguese, you got the Dutch, you got the French, and they all try these systems of devaluing the gold coin. Yeah.
That's what they did. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, because this is what Rome did. Didn't they start? They started doing this with the silver. The whole thing. They started, the dinar. They started devaluing. The same thing. It doesn't stop. It's the same freaking cycle. But people don't know. How many people know what we just said in just the last, 20 seconds? I bet you people don't get it. They don't pay attention to this stuff because they're not taught it. They're told they've been distracted and deceived and whatever you want to talk. But this, look, man, we can point our fingers at central bankers, at world leaders. Have we not allowed this to happen? And some people like it this way. Here's the situation. People look and they say, okay, we need to change something, but they look at themselves first. They realize the system is coming apart. It is. There's no way to deny that. But then they think, well, when before you change it, I'm going to lose everything I've worked for. They're going to lose it anyway. But they're afraid of it. They're afraid of it. I've worked X amount of years. I've built this up. Who's going to take away our gold and our silver? Nobody. It's ours. The stuff that you believe you have in the bank, that's not even in there. It's all digits on a screen. It's fake. It doesn't exist. It's fairy dust. It's not on the elemental chart. Unlike gold and silver. These are on the elemental chart, everyone. Wake up. You see where I could go with this, right?
Unfortunately, we don't have the time to continue this great conversation
on this occasion. But there will be more. Look, I've got to say, and we always bring Charlie Jones into this conversation, but Charlie Jones was responsible for Brian and myself entering this industry. I mean, what he said was, in 5 years' time, you'll be in exactly the same position you're in right now, apart from two things: people you meet and the books you read. Now, typically, and where else do you get your information from? Where does your education come from? It's got to come from those two sources. Today, it's come from Gregory Mannarino, and it doesn't come any better than that. And really what I'd like to say right now, Greg, if somebody wanted to communicate with you, and I'm sure there's a viewing audience out there at the moment, and many of them would want to connect with you, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Find me I'm pretty much kind of in a lot of places. I don't know. Just look me up. You'll find me. But my website, traderschoice.net's very nice. I have a newsletter. I got all kinds of stuff. I'm probably the easiest guy to find on the planet. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. But I hope look, man. All I want to do, all we want to do here is change people's lives for the better. That's it. That's so much. But what happens to people like you and I? We get condemned. We get talked down to. Imagine if we could have some humility and people realize, that we're not each other's enemies and see through it. Oh, these guys are out for themselves. We're not for ourselves. Believe me, I can find better things to do. And so could you. But we're out here trying to make a positive difference in people's lives. That's really what it's all about. And enlighten people. And you know what? I enjoy it. I really, really do being here talking about this kind of stuff. I love being on your show with you guys. You always challenge me. You get my blood boiling, as you can see, which isn't too hard to do. This stuff just freaks me out, and I start to get a little wild here. But thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No, thank you so much. It's a pleasure, and we look forward to this meeting on every occasion. Just in closing, I'd like to say that we learned some very powerful messages from a gentleman by the name of Peter Daniels many years ago. But Peter actually introduced us to precious metals. But he would always say, I do not care what poorly executed economic decisions are made in the world tonight, because tomorrow I'll still be able to party. Why can he party? Because he's got what we've been talking about all night. He's got precious metals. He's got real money. He's not controlled by any government entity. He's in control of his own financial destiny.
Absolutely.
And, Egon von Greyerz, and you know Egon very, very well. But Egon's an amazing gentleman. Whenever asked the question, how much should I invest in precious metals, what does he say, Brian?
Well, there's really only one answer, because if you don't want to pay the risk factor, if you don't want to have people looking over your shoulder and you don't know when the next bill is going to be paid, the answer to that question is whatever you cannot afford to lose. And I wouldn't be having any money in the stock market today for anybody, right? That's going to go bang, like 1929. So whatever you cannot afford to lose should be in precious metal. And do not think you've got all your eggs in one basket. People forget about the concept of gold and silver. Your gold and silver is your real money. Right, you can have enough. You don't love it. You just can't have enough of it. Right, you should have plenty of it. And so, with that real money, you can then diversify your interests, but have everything ready for when the downturn really takes on.
Yeah. And Greg's mentioned tonight, become your own central bank, basically.
Yeah,
Jim Sinclair
absolutely.
used to talk about that all the time. Just do what they do. I mean, look, we don't like the way they operate, but learn from them. And recognise you can become your own central bank and place yourself in a very powerful position in the process. Greg, thank you so much. We thank you, as always, for a huge contribution. Really appreciate your input. Fantastic. To our viewers and subscribers, we thank them very much for continuing to support the channel. And we love watching it grow. And, so lots happening at the moment. But wouldn't happen if we couldn't interview people like you, Greg. So very, very appreciative. Thank you so much. And I guess until next time, everyone, stay well, stay focused, and goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now.